Well, Mike, it is that time of the summer once again where it seems like I get to do my 1 or 2 annual TinChattins. In case you guys didn't know, he is Mike Moss, radio voice of the Tin Caps. I am Justin Prince, subbing in for Peter Hood this week. And, Mike, it's a pleasure to be here.
It's always fun to work with you, JP. And, Peter, eat your heart out wherever you may be.
Absolutely. Mike, I wish I come during a better stretch of play for the Tin Caps, but they are 4-10 to start the second half of the season. I said it last night, it's getting a little bit harder and harder to spin things in a positive direction. Yeah, there's individual players playing well, but the team right now just can't seem to put it all together.
I've used the analogy on the air, Justin, of an 8-cylinder car running on 6 cylinders. The components are there. Obviously, when you look at the pitching and the hitting is coming around, defense has hurt the team. You know, tonight, if all goes well, we'll finish a 9-game and 11-game homestand, basically, with 2 games over in suburban Cleveland. And the Tin Caps have only won 2 of those games thus far. And the defense, more often than not, has let the team down for the most part. Now, there have been situations, like one of the games earlier in the homestand, they left 18 runners on base. So a little bit of futility on the offensive side. But we've talked about it before, and Peter and I have talked about it before. You need pitching, hitting, and defense to win games. Absolutely. At least 2 of the 3 components. And when you fall behind early, it puts more pressure both on the pitcher and on the offense to come back and get some runs. And for the most part, in the second half, that just hasn't happened for the Tin Caps. They've not been able to put the pitching, the hitting, and the defense together, if not for 1 game, for 2 or 3.
One guy they really have seemed to be able to get the offense going for, and not like he's really needed it, has been Joey Cantillo. Guy racks up another award earlier this week. He's named the Midwest League Player of the Month, the first Tin Caps pitcher to ever do that. Just what's he done for this team so far this year? A sub-1 ERA since, I believe, June 22nd or something along those lines.
Yeah, in his last start a few days ago, he actually showed that he was human and gave up 2 runs in the first inning, and that snapped a streak of over 22 consecutive scoreless innings. But, my gosh, he's 6-2. He's been durable, reliable. His strikeout-to-walk ratio has been phenomenal. And he's injected himself some self-confidence. And his teammates know it. When Joey is on the mound, you talk about electricity in the air like there was last night with the all-time record crowd, which we'll talk about later. But when Joey's on the bump, his teammates know that he's meaning business. He's going to be around the plate, be ready to field, and because he's pitching so well, help him out any way you can. Yeah. And so that little extra effort comes out. And you mentioned the awards, and again, the Midwest League Pitcher of the Month, also the Uncle Ray's Way Player of the Month for the Midwest League. Yep. So back-to-back Pitcher of the Week honors, Pitcher of the Month, and for Midwest League and the Uncle Ray's, which they sponsor potato chips throughout the Midwest League. But he is one of 10 minor league players that have been named the Player of the Month. So 4 big awards.
Absolutely.
And he's carrying this pitching staff right now.
Absolutely. A few other guys that obviously have been playing well. Xavier Edwards, you haven't had to talk much bad about him all year. He's leading the league still in hitting. Ryan Weathers is finally starting to come back a little bit from his injury. He started to pitch well over his last few outings, going a little bit longer and a little bit longer. But a guy that seemed to fly under the radar in my eyes has been catcher and utility man Blake Hunt. He's really played well over these last month and a half of baseball, and he's starting to put good swings on the ball and really starting to make solid contact and find some green grass.
Since the last week of May, I believe, I don't know the exact numbers, but Blake's hitting somewhere around 330, 332. And he's got a triple and a home run. He's got a league-high 11 doubles over that span. And he got a hit again last night, and I believe he's now on a 10-game hitting streak. And he's seeing the ball well, both behind the plate, because sometimes we overlook the fact that he's calling pitches, and he's basically setting up the defense, and he's seeing the ball well offensively at the plate. And it's nice to see for the 20-year-old out of California.
Absolutely. We actually got a chance to catch up with Blake after last night's game. Here he is on what he's been able to see so far over the last month and a half.
I think my approach has stayed the same, maybe just a little bit more clear mind when I step at the plate. Aggressive mind, calm body is kind of what Steve Finley told me when he was in town. Again, being the year things weren't falling, had some tough luck, still having good at-bats, but I'm just trying to ride that high right now and keep it going and get my pitch and don't miss it. That's the biggest thing. Like whenever I maybe see one fastball in a bat, and I just got to make sure I don't miss it. So ride the high and just keep it going.
So, Mike, you heard from Blake there. You know, he's just really starting to see the ball well. He's just been trying to put the bat on the ball and make some solid contact, but the fans sure have liked to see it. A record crowd last night for last night's game. That was a fun atmosphere to be a part of.
9,508 here at Parkview Field. Largest crowd in franchise history and Parkview Field history. And for my pregame show last night, I interviewed TinCat team president Mike Nutter, and we talked about the fact, throw in last night, the 4th of July is the creme de la creme for coming out to Parkview Field. Not only was last night the largest crowd ever, but now the 4th of July has provided the 5 largest crowds and 7 of the 8 largest crowds in history. And 6 of those crowds are in excess of 9,000. At some point, and I asked Mike this question, at some point, Lord willing, there's going to come a game where there's going to be 10,000 fans in this facility, and when that day comes, it's going to be a sight to behold.
It really is, and I'm going to flash this one back to a couple years ago because I believe one of the other record-setting crowds or close to it was my first summer here, the summer of 17. Michelle Baez pitching on the 4th of July that year, I believe, was one of the record crowds, and that was one of my first tastes of this, and it was a phenomenal atmosphere then.
That was the old record that was broken last night, over 9,200. And if you remember, my friend, Michelle Baez, in that 4th of July game, 14 strikeouts.
Yes, I do.
But that day 2 years ago on the 4th of July was a special day and was even made better so by a tin cap win, unlike last night when they fell again to the Captains.
Mike, we're kind of verging on the edge of this team. You know, we've got a lot of baseball left, but we're getting into some dangerous territory where this team could maybe not make a postseason spot. Right now, they're sitting last in the Midwest League in the Eastern Division. And what's got to change over this last month if they want to make a little bit of a push?
Basically, boys, get your act together. It's as nice as I can say it. I talked earlier. You've got to have pitching, starting pitching. The bullpen's got to come through. The defense has to shore up tremendously. I think that's the #1 need.
Yes.
The defense has got to get better. And again, you've got talented players, but the defense has to get better. The team's got to get even healthier and stay healthier. It would be nice to see Ryan Weathers pick it up a little bit more. But you got to put it all together. And offensively, when this team is aggressive at the plate, they do a lot of damage. When they can score early, it reminds me, and again, I'm a Michigan native, folks, so bear with me, the run that the University of Michigan had in the NCAA baseball tournament, and they agreed. They wanted to score first, and when you score first, that takes pressure off your pitching and your defense. And that's what the Tin Caps have to do. They have got to get up early on opponents and then put the foot on the throat. Get the lead, maintain the lead, improve the lead, and then seal the deal. And they have the talent and the capability of doing it, but as you said, now's the time they've got to get it going, because though there is a lot of baseball left, if you fall too far behind, it may be too much of an obstacle to overcome.
I think I saw it last night. I was looking just, at the standings and everything like that. It seems like a big number right now, but it said elimination number was 52, I believe, which it really isn't that much because that factors in your losses along with other teams' wins, and there aren't a lot of spots left.
No, but I think also the team's got to go back. The theory that's worked in the past, not only with Anthony Contreras, but with some other former Tin Cap managers, is win your series. 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4.
Yeah, you don't need to sweep.
You don't need to sweep, but you need to win the series. What's ahead? After the game tonight, the Tin Caps embark on a 9-game and 10-day road trip. Once again, for the 3rd weekend in a row, they'll be up playing the Great Lakes Loons, this time up in Midland, Michigan. 3 games, an off day on Tuesday, where they'll spend in Chicago. And the Tin Caps next week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be in Burlington, Iowa to take on the Bees. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they'll be in Clinton, Iowa to take on the Lumber Kings. These are 3 series the Tin Caps need to win over the next 10 to 12 days, so the next, 10 games counting tonight. If they can come out 7-3 even, 7-3, 8-2, they can right the ship.
Yep.
And there still is good hope for making postseason play for the 9th time in the last 11 years.
Absolutely. Rumor has it, Mike, that we get another week of me and you.
That's good.
Peter will be down at the Indiana High School Boys Football All-Star Game next week. So
It is his loss.
It is his loss indeed. It looks like we get another week of Mike and Justin, and I know you guys are all looking forward to it. I am Mike's favorite co-host. Sorry, Peter. Don't wanna break that news to you this way, but just the way it has to be. For now, though, he's Mike Moss. I'm Justin Prince. That was another edition of TinChattin. We'll see you guys next week, and we'll have more in the locker room coming up right after this.